morning, guys. I'm just now getting able to video. I've been swamped this morning, but I have uploaded the midterm review answer sheet, and it's not just the answers. I've went through and I've worked everything out exactly like I'm about to do in this video. If you look on it, it's under files, and I have even highlighted all of the answers for you, okay? All right, so on this first one, it says list the solutions. So you've got to remember that anytime you see the word solutions, that also may be written as the zeros, the roots, or the x-intercepts. They all mean the same thing, okay? And beginning of last week, I think, we looked at so many different ways to solve a quadratic. We had the big X method. We had the quadratic formula. We can graph it, factor it. There's many different ways we can look at a chart. So, in order to determine the best way to solve, first, we want to use b squared minus 4ac, which is called the discriminant, to see what type of solutions we are going to have, okay? So, a equals 1, b equals 4, and c equals 5. So when I plug those terms in, I get negative 4. Well, if you look on your discriminant chart, in your, I think it's on topic 5, maybe topic 6, one of the two, if it is greater than 0, it's positive, then it has two real solutions. But since negative 4 is less than 0, then it is going to have two non-real complex solutions. So if it has two non-real complex solutions, we are going to have to use that quadratic formula. Because the big X, you can only use that if you have positive numbers, if you have a positive discriminant. So we have got to use the quadratic formula. So here is where you have to know this quadratic formula. I think it's used 4 times on the midterm, maybe. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? So, remember, a equaled 1, b equaled 4, and c equaled 5. So all we're doing now is plugging in these terms. Remember, when you plug in, you always want to use parentheses. All right, so I've plugged in my numbers. So now I want to simplify. So first, I have a negative 4 plus or minus the square root. Well, it was negative 4 all over 2. So now, think. Can you take the square root of a negative number? No, but you can take the square root of the positive number and put that cute little I. So I'm going to simplify. Negative 4 plus or minus 2i over 2. So now I want to continue to simplify, okay? Negative 4 divided by that bottom 2 is a negative 2. Okay, we're simplifying. Then we have a plus or minus, and we simplify again. 2i divided by 2 is just an I. So we have two answers. Negative 2 plus I and negative 2 minus I. Okay? All right, number 2, it says to simplify. All right. So first, I'm distributing this negative 4 to both terms, and I have negative 24 minus 8i. Okay. Now, this right here, I'm going to bring it over to the side. I'm going to use the box. All right. Now, all I'm doing is I'm writing all these terms on the inside. Now, before I go any further, what do you know that I squared equals? I squared equals negative 1. So, anytime you see an I squared, you must plug in a negative 1. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and combine my i's. So, I have a negative 8i plus a 4i minus a 6i, which leaves me with a negative 10i. Okay? Now, these two negatives on this 3 are going to make me have a positive 3. So now I have negative 24 plus 8 plus 3 is a negative 13. Remember, when you're doing i's, it has to be written in the form of a plus bi. Your I always has to come last. Now, you can check yourself in your calculator by using that I. However, on the test, you've got to show your work. Once you show your work, then you can type it in and make sure you're correct. Okay? All right, on number 3, this was long division. So I'm actually going to have to go to this screen because we aren't going to have enough room. So, first we have 4x to the 4th minus 14x cubed plus 2x squared plus 17x minus 10 divided by 2x minus 3. Okay. Remember our steps. Divide, multiply, subtract. Okay? So I'm going to take this problem that I just wrote and I'm going to put it into a... Oh, man. There it is. I'm going to put it into a division problem. So, all right, so first thing I'm going to do, over on the side on the review sheet, I wrote out all the steps. I'm going to do the same thing here. So, first, we want to take the first term on the inside and divide it by the first term on the outside. So, we have 4x to the 4th divided by 2x. Well, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And remember, this x has an exponent of 1. We just subtract the exponents when we're dividing. So, 4 minus 1 is the 3. So, up top, we have 2x cubed. Now, we've divided. Second step, we must multiply. 2x cubed times 2x minus 3. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. An x cubed and an x is an x to the 4th minus 6x cubed. So I'm going to take that. We're going to subtract. But remember, when we subtract, it's best to put parentheses around it. Okay? So these cancel. Well, the negative 14x cubed minus the negative 6x cubed, those two negatives on the bottom become a positive. So negative 14 plus 6 is a negative 8x cubed, and I'm going to bring down my 2x squared. Okay? So that's the first step, or the first part. Now, I'm going to start the process over. Negative 8x cubed divided by 2x. Well, negative 8 divided by 2 is a negative 4. X cubed divided by an x is an x squared. We multiply negative 4x squared times 2x minus 3. All right, now this time these cancel, and I have 2 minus 12, which leaves me with a negative 10x squared, and I'm bringing down that positive 17x. Okay? We'll do it again. Negative 10x squared divided by 2x is a negative 5x. We multiply negative 5x times 2x minus 3, and we get negative 10x squared plus 15x. We subtract. These cancel. We have 17 minus 15, which leaves us with a 2x. Bring down my negative 10. We do it one more time. 2x divided by 2x is just 1. So we put a plus 1 up top. 2x times we subtract, these cancel, and we have a remainder of negative 7. And I wrote that on the paper, negative 7. Now, yesterday we didn't deal with remainders, but it's really, really easy. All you do is you put it up top over what you started with. Okay? Now, I did not do synthetic on the paper, but I am going to try to do synthetic here. So remember, for synthetic, you have to solve for x first. So, 2x minus 3 equals 0. So first thing I must do is I must add 3. And I'm left with 2x equals 3. Well, then I divide by 2. And I have x equals 3 over 2. Okay? We got our L. 3 over 2 on the sides. Remember, we write our coefficients up top. 4, negative 14, 2, 17, negative 10. First step is we bring down the 4. All right? Now, if you are not good with multiplying fractions, you will need to use your calculator. So 3/2 times 4 is 6. Then we combine. Negative 14 plus 6 is a negative 8. And then we just keep going. So negative 8 times 3/2 is a negative 12. So now we say 2 minus 12, negative 10 times 3/2 is negative 15. Which is a 2. Whoops. There it goes. All right, so on number 4, I want to omit that. I just forgot to mark it out. We have not learned that yet. So number 5. Number 5 says, the contractor for a new school put a rectangular garden in the courtyard. The length is equal to 2 feet longer than its width. If the area equals 214 square feet, what is the length? Okay. So, remember, area equals length times width. It tells us the area is 214. Now, our length, it says right here, the length is equal to 2 feet longer than its width. Well, if it's 2 feet longer, it's 2 feet greater than, so I'm going to say
students, please listen very carefully. Friday, October the 6th.
okay, so our length is 2 feet longer than its width. And remember, width is just our width. So we're going to plug this into our formula. Now, I have to distribute that W. So this is 214 equals W squared plus 2W. And on your review, I wrote that we want everything set equal to 0. So in order for that to happen, we have to subtract 214 from the left side. Okay? So now, I'm going to have to erase. Oh, I don't have to. I can go to this. We have 0 equals W squared plus 2W minus 214. Okay? So, since these numbers are so large, I want to use the quadratic formula. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals negative 214. Okay? So we have a negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 214 all over 2 times 1. All right, if we simplify, we get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 860 over 2. Now, Since we are talking about length, I want you to go ahead and find the square root of 860. It's going to be a decimal, so you're just going to round to the first decimal place. So it comes out to be -2 plus or minus 29.3 over 2 . All right, so now what you can do, you can split it up. So here's what we're splitting up. -2 plus 29.3 over 2, and we get 13.65. We now subtract it. -2 minus 29.3 over 2, and we get -15.65. So you have two answers, and it wants to know what is my is it asked for the length? Let me find my paper. Yeah, it asks for the length. Okay. So I actually highlighted the width. Can you have a negative, like, distance or measurement? No. So we know that the width is 13.65, but the problem asked me for the length. So I did not do this part on the review. I just did not finish reading it. So our length is W plus 2. So all I'm doing is plugging in and I'm getting my length. Okay. All right. Number 6. Let's see. Number 6, ask us for the values of A, B, and C. So when you come to a problem like this, everything has to be on one side, okay? So we want to move this 6x minus 3. And to do that, we subtract 6x and we add 3 to both sides. Once we do that, we have 4x squared minus 4x plus 11 equals 0. So it asked me for my values. Well, A equals 4, B equals -4, and C equals 11. Okay? Now, on number 7, and for this problem on the midterm, all I want you to do is graph it in your y equals. Okay? That's all you have to do is graph it. For number 8, I did not write this, but I want you to write on your number 8, use x values. See if I can go up. Okay. So it asks us where it's decreasing. Well, if it's decreasing on negative infinity, you know it has to be on the left side. So it is decreasing from here to this point. Well, we just wrote to use our x value, so we're going to use that x point. So it is decreasing from negative infinity to -3. Then it asks for when it increases. Well, it stops at -3, but it also picks back up at -3 and starts increasing to -1. Now, the bottom question, the function is negative only on the interval. Well, remember, negative is on the bottom side of the graph. So it is negative from here to here. So this point is 0, 0. And this point is 6, 0. So it is negative from 0 to 6. Okay? All right, next we have number 9. So you just have to see who has the greater height and who has the greatest distance. So Daniel's height is 5. And Alex's height is between 7 and 8. So who has the greater height? Alec. Now, he wants to know who landed farther away from the starting line. Well, obviously your starting line is 0. So Daniel goes a distance of 5, while Alec only goes about 3.75. So who has the greater distance? Daniel. Okay. We are skipping number 10. I marked it out on your paper. I wonder if we can rotate this. Oh, there we go. All right. Number 11. It says, what transformations of a graph of a function f of x create if the function rule was f of x minus 2 plus 3? So remember, when it's on the inside of the parentheses, that's a horizontal translation. If it says x plus something, it's going to the left. If it says x minus something, it's going to the right. So this graph is going right 2. The number that's on the outside is your vertical translation. So if it's positive, it's obviously going up. And if it's negative, it's going down. Okay? All right, number 12 says first, the graph is shifted 3 units to the left. So if a graph is shifted 3 units to the left, it looks like this. Then it says that graph is shifted down. Oh, I messed up when writing this. Where it says f of x plus 2, make sure you change that to a minus. And, yeah, so it should be f of x minus 2 because we're going down, okay? Now, if I combine those, this is what I get. This is left 3, down 2. If I put those together and I want to create another graph, but I want to go down 6 more units, all I'm doing is adding that negative 6 to make it go down. So that's down 6. So now that would be down a total of 8. All right, next is number 13. Oh, and we omit number 13. It's marked out. So, number 14, if you notice, all of your answer choices have this f of negative 1. Remember, that means the inverse. So, when you see that, you just got to know to find the inverse. So it's f of x equals x squared plus 5 Remember, f of x is y equals. The first thing we do is we swap x and y. I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I have x minus 5 equals y squared. To get rid of a square, we take the square root, and I'm left with the square root of x minus 5 equals y, which is our inverse. Now, if you look at your answer choices, okay, they say, let me move this over here. They say f of negative 1, 6 is 1. We have a 1, 6, a 2, 9, and a 3, 14. So what this is wanting you to do, okay, you're going to your y equals. You were plugging in the inverse function. It was the square root of x minus 5, okay? Once you do that, you want to hit second graph to pull up your table. Now, the numbers in the parentheses are your x's. The numbers beside the equal sign are your y. So, when I put in a 6, or when I put in, let's see, one choice B says 1 and 6. Well, I have a 1, but it says error. When I have a 2, it also says error. When I have a 3, it also says error. But when I have a 6, it says it's 1. So, my correct answer here is choice A. Okay? Now, number 5 says find the inverse and give a point that would work for it. So, first, we are finding the inverse. F of x equals 5x minus 14. First thing we do is we swap the x and the y. Then we solve for y. So, my inverse is x plus 14 over 5. So, it says find a point that works. So, you pick any point you want. I chose x equals 4. So, all I did was plug in x equals 4. I messed up on the review paper. All right. Let's see. I did it right, except when I rewrote it, I wrote it wrong. So the part that I have highlighted needs to say this right here. I've just put in a subtraction. All right, so make sure you change that on your review. And then when you plug in the point, it'll actually be 18 over 5 would be the point. Let me double check that. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so look, here's what I'm going to do. Let me go here. Let me pull this up. So right here on number 15, go ahead and mark that out and mark this out. And it needs to say x plus 14 over 5. I just rewrote it wrong. When you plug in x equals 4, you get 4 plus 14 over 5, which is 18 over 5. Okay, so be sure you fix that. So sorry. All right. Number 16. Let me go back. Number 16 says to find the inverse. Okay, so we have f of x equals x plus 4 over 5. Remember, this is y equals. First thing we do is we swap x and y, and we solve for y. So first thing, I'm going to multiply by 5 on both sides, and I'm left with 5x equals y plus 4. To get y by itself, I'm going to subtract 4. 5x minus 4 equals y. That is my inverse. Okay? On number 17, you've seen this question before. A ball is dropped from an initial height of 8 feet. So our first term is 8. The ball bounces and rebounds to a height of 60%. So our R is 0.6. Remember, you have to change that to a decimal from the previous height. So when it says the word previous, remember, you have to use that n minus 1, the recursive definition. So, y equals the first term times the rate with the recursive definition. You've seen that problem before, at least 2 times if I know of. All right. You've seen number 18. So f of 1 just means the first term. So when you put in a 1, you get out a 10. Okay? Now, f of n wants us to write the formula. So from 10 to 12, I add 2. 12 to 14, I add 2, and I keep going down. I keep adding 2. So when you write your formula for this recursive rule, it's your first term plus your common difference and your n minus 1. First term is 10, common difference is 2. And our recursive rule. Okay? Next, you've seen this problem. So geometric, remember they have a common ratio. So to find the common ratio, you want to divide backwards. And you want to do that by saying 135 divided by 45 is 3. 45 divided by 15 is 3. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay? You must know this formula. All this means we're looking for the first 10 terms, so n equals 10. The first term is 5. 1 minus our r, which is 3. If you type that in and you type it in correctly, you get 147,620. Gotta know this formula, guys. Okay? Now, the last two are what we did yesterday in class. So, remember, whatever your sign is on the problem is the sign of your first set of parentheses. So, since this is a plus, it's going to be a plus b. A squared minus ab plus b squared. Take the cube root of both terms. So the cube root of 216x cubed, well, the cube root of 216 is 6. And remember, if you have letters, to determine the number of letters, you say the power divided by the root. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I just have 1x. If you take the cube root of 64, that is 4. The first one is always A. The second one is always B. I plug in those answers. 6x plus 4 and a squared. That don't mean 6x squared. That means you square 6x. So 36x squared minus 24x plus 16. Okay? Last one, then we're done. It's minus a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. The cube root of x cubed is simply just x. The cube root of 343 is 7. And to find the cube root, it's math 4 on your calculator. So this is A, this is B. I plug them in. X minus 7, x squared plus 7x plus 49. Okay, that is my review. If you have questions, please let me know. First and third block, you will take it tomorrow when you are in class. Fourth block, you will not take it until Monday. Have a great day.